Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Velocity Sellers podcast. I am here with Neil Tanna, a brand, and one more time. One more time.
Brand partnerships manager.
I'm here with Neil Tanna. As you just heard, he's a brand partnerships manager over at TikTok. That's right, TikTok.com, the place where you watch all those funny videos. And also you buy things now, which is very exciting, which we're going to talk about today, Neil. I'm excited to get into it with you and kind of learn more about your involvement at the company and also just more about the strategy that goes into selling on TikTok and a few other things that I'm going to pick your brain about. So thank you for joining me.
Awesome. No, happy to be here. And before we get into it, I should mention everything I say is my own opinion and not on behalf of TikTok. Just thought I'll share my 2 cents and from my experience of working at TikTok and prior.
Love it. Yeah, no, we definitely want to get into a lot of different things regarding, again, your strategy with the brands that you manage. We'll definitely want to name those brands if possible to kind of show off a little bit. And also just get into the weeds on what makes TikTok tick. Dare cut that. That was
Yeah.
horrible. Maybe leave that in there. That second part made it kind of fun. Anyway, all right. So first things first, Neil, give us a little bit of background on your history, kind of how you got into this TikTok space, and also now again to show off a little bit. Tell us more about what you currently do at the site.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career in CPG, working at P&G for brands like Gillette, Old Spice, Olay. I used to sell to brick and mortar. We used to put 20 slide decks together to talk about a 2% price increase and try to get product on shelf. And now a TikTok creator comes in and can sell a $40 serum in 20 seconds. So it's crazy where it all started. I spent several years there on the sales and brand side before I moved over to Amazon. At Amazon, I joined the Amazon ad side of the business, still helping CPG brands, helping their advertising solutions that Amazon offers, and their full funnel, whether it's Prime Video, Fire TV, or Twitch, all the way down to PPC and DSP type ads on Amazon. And then from there, I wanted to join the next hottest thing in tech and e-commerce, and so I took on the TikTok role. So I don't dance, I don't sing, but I do try and help brands build their strategies on platform. And so at TikTok, I manage our relationships with some of our key CPG brands, and I help them with their on-platform advertising. I also help them with TikTok shops to make sure that they're really getting the most amount of value. And somehow the CPG industry just has me on hook. I also have my own little label that I work on for Amazon, and I also provide free consulting to small local sellers that need help expanding to some of these networks. So definitely something that I'm happy to talk more about. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's been my journey. CPG taught me how to plan. I'd say Amazon taught me how to build, but TikTok, where I'm at today, really just it teaches you how to have fun and really inspire that creativity.
So you shocked me. I would have thought you were actually making videos for these brands.
You would
But
think.
no, and I really want to dive into that too, because I know at least if you can share them, I know you gave me some pretty big names that even someone like me that isn't on TikTok, unfortunately anymore. I hate to admit that in front of someone that works there. Um, but I've heard of these brands too, outside of being some of them are beauty brands, and I know the stereotype is that guys don't necessarily know this stuff, but I have heard of them. I just want to put that out there. My fiance would be proud. But anyway, you've worked with some pretty big brands that were around before the whole TikTok shop thing even existed. How have you helped them kind of get more adapted to this new age platform, as opposed to just selling to brick and mortar or just even things like Facebook or Instagram? Even how TikTok is so different, especially for certain categories. How have you helped them adapt?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we found that the brands that were willing to dip their toes in really got that first mover advantage. TikTok is not Amazon. When you have some of your leading Amazon sellers come to you and want to launch on TikTok and they're talking to you about branded keywords and your PPC strategy, they're not talking the right language. And so the brands that were willing to kind of forget what they know and play by TikTok's rules, those are the ones that we've seen the most success with. So Are they leaning into the affiliate system? Are they tapping into the open and the tap program to
Mm,
make sure that they're reaching affiliates? Because majority of the key brands that I get to work with, majority of their sales come from affiliates. They don't come from organic posts. They're not coming from paid ads as much as they are from affiliates. So that's the type of thing that you got to switch your brain with a little bit and support affiliate content. So that's one area that I'd say is the biggest shift for legacy brands and some of the ones I work on in terms of how do we go from managing PPC and A plus content to affiliate strategies and bringing in the right people to make content about your brand.
right. Right. And it's about picking the right. You want to make sure they're vetted as well too, which is very interesting. And
Yeah.
and surrounding kind of that content, um, I know that was the story of how you've helped them adapt, but how have they adapted? I mean, they're used to this. I would say these bigger brands are used to this polished storytelling. They throw on they script an ad, they write it, they shoot it to perfection. Whereas TikTok, not that that stuff isn't scripted or not that that stuff isn't polished, but it's vastly, I think, different than some of the commercials that these big brands might run. So is there something else in there too that it's just as far as the same thing as adapting goes, they have just really tried it? Or is there something else there that you have maybe helped them bridge that cultural gap, again, between this polished storytelling and the authenticity really of TikTok videos?
Yeah, absolutely. We get that all the time where we'll get a TV asset that they just want to run on platform because, hey, we have a video somewhere
Right.
and we've spent millions of dollars putting this together and making sure it's perfect and gone through all of our brand safety. And, a lot of the legacy brands that I work with have a lot of those controls on the brand messaging. But that doesn't work. That's not what you come to TikTok for. And I often talk about thinking of the consumer experience. When you open TikTok, and Pete, we got to get you back on TikTok. We have the average time on TikTok, a movie's length of time every single day.
Mm.
It is over 90 minutes. That means people are coming to TikTok during prime time. It's,
Right.
usually right after dinner for entertainment.
Hmm.
And so when you're scrolling through your For You page, you're thinking about what's entertaining, and that's what you're fighting for. If you're putting something on TV that you're mandated to watch that's a non-skippable ad, that's not the same thing that will work on TikTok.
Right.
So, step 1, throw that out the playbook. Let's
Right.
not, revisit that. But what we do want to think about is what is entertainment, and to your point, what is authentic for the brand. So, it could be shot on an iPhone. It could be focused on sound because it is such a sound on platform. And we were really the first ones in that space to be sound on.
Hmm.
And so thinking about how does your brand show up organically? One interesting example is brands today love seeing collaborations. So for one
Yeah.
that I've seen recently that really stood out to me is Dove and Crumble cookies. Now, a match made in heaven, who doesn't love a good crumble cookie?
Oh, Dove
I
chocolate.
mean,
I was like, what?
yeah, couple thousand calories,
Right.
but you know
Yeah.
what? The
That's
body wash
true.
has gotta be better than that. But it's a match made in heaven. It's something that consumers are looking for in crumble cookies that's so relevant, it's so active today with a brand like Dove that I feel like there can't be many people who don't know what Dove is. And so just finding fun ways to bring brands together and show up authentically on platform, that's what the key is, and you gotta switch the thinking behind, how to make messaging that shows your brand value, but in a TikTok first way.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you bring up the fact that some of these brands want to bring their TV videos and just say, like, let's just run this on TikTok. This is, I feel like it's sort of this, and I know we're going off back to Amazon a little bit, but it's sort
Yep.
of the same thing with Amazon where we don't want to run our videos. They look like commercials and people aren't going to want to watch them. We rather have these still shots, like play by plays or like a slideshow style. It makes it feel more, like you said, more authentic, more informational, more entertaining, all of the different good adjectives that you wanna hear about your video as opposed to, "This is boring. I feel like I'm watching an ad," kinda thing, so and
Yep.
again, from my time on TikTok, please don't look me up, at Pete Simsey. I have a lot of funny videos on there. If anyone wants me to run a video for their product, let me know. But it's a little personal promotion. But, from my time on there, I do remember the same thing of just, if I'm not immediately hooked by something, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm gonna scroll to the next one. It's gonna be gone forever. It's gonna be lost in the For You shadow realm. It's gonna be done. It's gone. So it's very interesting to hear that too, that the brands, even these big brands, again, that are used to this are now able to adapt. Of course, you have to be able to adapt or else you wouldn't be in business anymore. But even for something like TikTok and like TikTok Shop, it's good to kind of get an understanding of that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about it as I started my career building shelves out for retailers for P&G. And when you're building out a shelf, you're going to a warehouse for the planning and you're building like a mock store. And you're in this like dingy little warehouse with a bunch of deodorants. And when you turn the aisle, you want to make sure that your brand shows up the right way. All of that now is a thumbnail or it's your
Mhm.
first frame on a TikTok video. How do you translate that amount of research and thought process into a quick little one frame shot to make sure that you're actually getting your brand message and kind of providing your value on shelf but on screen? So I think it's a crazy new world with TikTok shops and TikTok in general and the volume that it's driving and how it's become not just a place of discovery, but it's become a place of action with hashtag TikTok made me buy it. So yeah, I think there's so much more to dive into.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be very curious to see, and I don't know if there's metrics that we can share about, um, either Black Friday, or sorry, Monday or Fall Prime Day. I'm curious. I'm going back to Amazon. My mind's always on Amazon. I'm
Yeah,
curious to see how these brands, if, and it's just off the top of my head, like how TikTok sales would compare. Are they gonna start driving sales from TikTok to their Amazon page during the Prime days? Or is there gonna be a spike in TikTok sales from Amazon? Are people gonna be putting out more videos, more informational purposes? Do you have any comments or any kind of information you can give us on, again, because there's announced Prime Day last week on, it's gonna be 4 days this year.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, again, just for the informational purposes and for brands that are on both platforms, how are they gonna balance that, and do you have any suggestions for them? Maybe you've done that before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say Prime Day is the one time of the year that Amazon truly owns share of voice. And, we've seen retailers try and take the couple days prior. It's different. I think Amazon really has that hold on it. 4 days is going to be a long time this year. So it'll be interesting to see how brands are able to spread out across that period of time. But I'll say Amazon and TikTok are working very interestingly together. So users can now discover and purchase things from Amazon directly within TikTok. So the user experience is very unique, especially between the Amazon and TikTok partnership. It's native to TikTok, but you get the purchasing power and the fulfillment that Amazon offers. And so when you're thinking about how do you drive enough traffic, I think it goes twofold. I think there's the actual traffic you're driving from TikTok to Amazon, but I don't think that's the right approach. I think your approach should be making sure you're converting on TikTok shops at the same time. If you are just an Amazon seller, I think you're setting yourself up for a missed opportunity. One of the things that I hear a lot, and in particular from some of the leading brands that I work on, is TikTok as a channel for them are net new users. They're incremental to who you would be able to reach on any other platform. And so by the time you're reaching a new user and you're trying to get them to leave TikTok and check out either on a D2C or an Amazon Prime Day type of sale, you're missing out on them converting then and there on TikTok with TikTok Shop. So thinking about how are you supporting Prime Day with an option on TikTok with shops and making sure you're driving enough awareness of what your brand is doing for Prime Day.
Wow, yeah, that's perfect. It'll work, hopefully, for a lot of these brands. It sounds like it will work though. So, eh, looking at sort of the campaign and the advertising and then just the measurement kind of side of things and going kind of right into that, how would you, especially around Prime Day or even just normally during the year, how would you measure success on TikTok outside of just, hey, we got a lot of sales? Are you accounting for things like likes and shares and um, views and all these other things? Is that more important than sales in the beginning? Is that like, when does that shift happen where, okay, we don't really care about views and likes anymore, we wouldn't just go for sales, or does that ever shift?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I'll say if you're coming to TikTok and you're an established brand on Amazon or on Walmart or another marketplace, and you just want to drive sales, you're coming with the wrong mentality. TikTok is about entertainment, it's about joy, and it's about community. And you will hear, if you talk to anyone who works at TikTok, I will probably say it over the course of this episode, the word community a ton.
Hmm.
It's because that's really what we're building. And so you want to come to TikTok thinking about how have you built your community? And we have ad solutions to drive and optimize for community interaction, to drive followers, to have comments. We think of our comments as the new focus groups. We love seeing brands showing up on comments and how people are following back and engaging with those brands. So I absolutely think video views, likes, comments, follows are absolutely key metrics that you have to be thinking about. And also net new content. So when you're thinking about the shop side of the business, you may be looking at sales and they may be growing, but how much of that is driven by net new content coming from your affiliates? Or how much of that is coming from your branded post that you're putting paid dollars behind? So thinking about TikTok as a community and as a place to build that community is really important, especially as I was talking about incremental users. You're talking to people who may or may not know your brand or may or may not know where else they can find you or what other marketplace.
Right.
So making sure you're building up a community, that's what's going to stick. And we're seeing the key brands that I get to work on, that I'm really lucky to work on, have such a large community on platform, and they really respond well to it. So thinking about your organic handle as much as your shop is what's going to drive your shop success.
Love it. No, it's something that makes, I think, TikTok very unique, where Amazon maybe tried to do it with posts that are now going away. They're going to come
Yeah.
back as a paid service, I guarantee it. And with the Amazon Live, where they try to literally just copy TikTok or Instagram Live or anything like that. But it seems that TikTok has really nailed that, even I think more than other social medias. Maybe Facebook does the whole group thing and the community thing well, but um, I feel like I don't buy anything off of Facebook except for Facebook Marketplace, which I love. I'm a big,
Yes,
big
can't
fan
live
of
without
Facebook
that.
Marketplace. Yeah, yeah. I just got a vacuum from there. So shout out to Facebook. Thank you, Mark. But anyway, looking at kind of going into that too, like what is something that being in this space and working with the brands that you have worked with, what is something that you've learned kind of with or I guess more about like the intersection of the tech and culture and pop culture and community and also e-commerce, where all of these things seemingly come together very well on TikTok, whereas opposed to maybe some other platforms, they have one more of the other aspect there. But TikTok seems to have all of those pieces: tech, commerce, community, culture, all of these things kind of figured out in a good way. What is something that you personally have maybe picked up from being in that sort of crossroads of all those things?
Yeah, I'll say the one that stands out to me, and I'll be honest, our TikTok shop, a lot of the foundations are from Amazon. There's a lot of ex-Amazonians here at TikTok, myself included. And you'll see things like TikTok Seller Central is very reminiscent of the Amazon side. So joining this joining this side of the boat, thinking about the creativity was absolutely paramount. Some of the best pieces of creativity come from $0 in production, 0
Yeah.
scripts, and the most virality. And so when I think about what's next, where are we heading in terms of social commerce? I think it's here already, and that's live streaming. I'm sure you're seeing it we're seeing it on other platforms. I'm sure you are too. But live commerce, I think, is something that TikTok does in a really unique way where you're watching a live stream and you can check out in the same experience. And when you think about the gamification of discounts and promotions and all of the different ways that live streaming and social commerce is being considered, that's got to be the next forefront. And I think TikTok is on the path to solving it in the most effective way, and something that I think we'll only see more and more of. In particular, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Super Brand Days, but brands on TikTok kind of think of it like a Prime Day for a particular brand. And so Mary Roots, for example, they had theirs relatively recently. I saw it. It's like a 6 days takeover, and they take over TikTok Shop. They'll have a promotion running. They'll be doing all sorts of activations. And what we found is the ones that they had a 24-hour live stream with nonstop 6 days. Yeah, I don't know how they put that together from a production perspective. That's gotta be a feat. but it really stood out as something they're heavily investing in and as one of the top shops that I've seen. I think it's a great case study of things that are new for me. I would have not ever forecasted a 24-hour, 6 days a week live stream,
Yeah.
but I think that's what consumers are looking for, right? TikTok is QVC meeting Vine, meeting Shopify, but this is really what it looks like. So I think that's got to be something new. And as as we continue to expand in more markets, it's curious. I'm curious to see how live plays a different role. It's a very prominent feature in Southeast Asia and in China, and to see that in other markets is, yeah, a 6 day live was definitely something that took me by surprise.
Yeah, it's kinda nuts. Also, I miss Vine. He just reminded me of that. Um,
Those are the good days.
I was just saying that the other day too. I said something to somebody and something in my mind, like, clicked, and I was like, "Oh, that was a Vine." I just quoted a Vine without even remembering it. It's kinda crazy. But, um
Sometimes I'll watch TikTok and some of the best comments are, "This would have blown up on Vine," and,
yeah.
it really does have the best parts of it.
Yeah. And I guess that kinda answers one of my other questions I was gonna ask you is what are some of the big strategies that you're seeing with your brands that are very exciting these days? And I guess that, the live stream is one, and also remind me of the name of it, the brands have their own Prime Day.
Super brand day,
Super
yeah.
brand days. How long has that been the thing for a while now? Because I'm
Yeah, yeah. They've been on for a little over a year now. We've seen several brands participate in it. And I think it's one that you got to build up to and not something that every brand gets the opportunity to participate in, but something to definitely keep in mind as you're thinking about growing your TikTok shop. But your question around kind of what I'm recommending and what we're working on with our brands,
yeah.
there's really two primary focuses from an ads perspective. The first is search ads. Everyone is using TikTok as their new search algorithm. They come to TikTok to find their food
Yeah.
recommendations. Pete, if I haven't sold you on TikTok after this, I don't know what I've done.
Listen, I gave it up for
Um,
Lent, and I just never went back. I gave up all social media, and I only re-downloaded Facebook, again, for Marketplace, and
fair.
Twitter for news. Um,
And TikTok for entertainment.
I might have to get back on the TikTok train because we're always looking for new recipes here at this house.
Yeah,
I
and
especially
you'll
I'm the
find
cook,
there.
so, I'm always looking for good recipes, but I know same thing, I know that the shift in trends is not just Google anymore. It's not just,
No.
"Is this product good?" It was Amazon for a little bit. It was, Let me look at the product on Amazon, let me look at the
Yeah.
reviews." It was ChatGPT. We talked a lot about GEO,
Yeah.
generative engine optimization. So it does not surprise me in the slightest that you're seeing a lot on your side of things. You're seeing a lot of people searching for products on TikTok, but continue, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I think search on TikTok is, we're not at the point where we have to introduce it anymore. I think it is here. We're seeing not only Gen Zs using it, but everyone is coming to platform to find their favorite product, to find authentic reviews, to find things that really matter to them, and they're using TikTok to do it. So when we're thinking about your strategy on platform, yes, there's an organic optimization that you could do for TikTok, but really thinking about your paid strategy and
Mhm.
how are you putting dollars behind search where consumers are coming to you. And those are high intent value or high value shoppers that you want to make sure you're converting. And so definitely one of the key things that we're focused on here, and the second is AI. I feel like that we're you're probably hearing AI every third word and every single
Most
thing.
of the guests are most of the some of the more recent podcasts are all just about how's AI doing this. You have an AI
Yeah,
business. How does it help? So yeah, totally, totally.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll give you and kind of your listeners the spiel on the TikTok AI
Please,
side.
please.
For shops, there's kind of two sides to it. One is our advertising solution that we call GMV Max. It is a fully automated system that allows you to put in as much creative as you can find from your affiliates, from your shop handle, and reach the audiences that the system thinks it can deliver the strongest results to. And proof is in the pudding. We are seeing brands exclusively using GMV Max. Paid ads has never been easier for a shop ecosystem with GMV Max, and it is outperforming everything that's been done on a manual basis. So that's definitely one of the key sides to it. And the second is creative. We talked a lot about brands struggling with how do we build creative, how do we use creative, and TikTok has what we call our Symphony AI, which is our kind of your creative little handy tool that lets you build creative. And just this week at Cannes, we debuted text to video or an image to video, where our AI can take a still image and turn it into a short 6-second video, maybe put a couple different images together, and you get a good piece of content.
Wow.
Whether you're using an avatar, whether you're doing some type of AI type of creative, it's there and it's all on platform with Symphony AI, and something I strongly recommend if you have creative challenges and you need help putting something together. Getting involved with Symphony AI is a really easy way to build up some content.
Love it. Yeah, no, I will say to you, I am sort of on the side of AI is going to kill us all. Um, AI is going to take over the world. Sometimes, some days I'm like that. When if I ever open ChatGPT and I ask for something, it gives me like a scary, scary, accurate answer. Or I see things on Twitter that people are like, "How do I do this?" And it's AI knows, and I know they're just searching the internet, but
Yeah.
it's still, ooh. But it's
But you
very,
know what? How is AI going to have coffee at 10 a.m. and take the half an hour break that I do
right.
to make sure that I enjoy my coffee? I don't think AI can do that.
This is very true.
And if it does, that's going to be really scary.
Sometimes I get worried Jake is going to replace me with an AI podcast host. I feel
I
like
think
we're
that's the
almost
number
there.
one question around the office. When are we getting replaced?
Right, right. Is like how can we just feed all of the episodes into an AI and just have it spit out a host to just ask questions? I would still hopefully still run the AI, like AI Pete, AI Velocity
I'm
Pete.
really hoping that you're not an avatar. I'm
No,
really
no,
hoping
I'm
I'm
real.
talking to you
I'm real.
on the other side.
It's
You'd
like,
send your avatar in place.
yeah, yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here. I'm real. I don't have today's newspaper because I'm not 80. I don't read the newspaper. But I am real. No, I'm kidding.
Love it.
But it's very interesting to hear that you can make vines now with just images, or TikToks, I should say. But you said six
Yeah, I
seconds,
was
so I
like,
said
did I
vines.
catch you there?
Yeah, but no, it's very interesting to see that you can make these videos. I've heard about that somewhat. But for the purpose of content, I mean, it's great. Amazon has something I think kind of similar where they can generate an AI image of your product in like a holiday background. Like if it's Christmas time, you don't have a
Yeah.
Christmas image. You don't want to go pay for a photo shoot, which is a shame because again, you're putting photographers out of business. But whatever. But you could
Yeah.
just do this, and it's much easier. It's much more probably what you're looking for and what people are looking for. This is sort of off topic, but I feel like kids are responding. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're responding better. That the people, not kids in general, but the people watching TikTok in general are responding somehow better to AI created videos because like, oh, this is I can see that it's AI, but at least it's I can tell. I don't know where the trend is going. Maybe you have some more insight there, but
I think they do better when it's like so explicitly AI that it's
right,
funny.
right,
I think when the lines are blurred, when it feels too real, I think that's when people are thrown off. But when it's entertaining enough, like there's trends right now where you can see AI police coming and taking people away from old pictures.
right.
That's so funny. But when it starts to get too real and you're trying to listen to a creator who's a avatar that doesn't exist, I think that's where we're seeing, people still not fully bought in yet.
Right.
But AI does have a really key role to play. If you're thinking about Father's Day that just passed and you're like, back to school is coming up
Right.
or Prime Day is coming up, and I need to repurpose my creative. I don't have enough time to do it
Right.
or resources. I think a seller should not shy away from leveraging some of those types of features, still staying true to your brand and
Yeah.
making sure we talked about authenticity and that playing a really key role, but using the tools around you and making sure it's being called out.
Absolutely. No, and like I said, the holiday thing is great. It's easy, it's quick. But I feel there's a lot other use for it that we'll see come up in the next couple of years that either we expect or we didn't expect. Some people will be on top of it, others will be like just shocked. But I think you're right. I think when it's like Sharknado. Sharknado is so bad that it's funny. It's kind of like when
Yeah.
you see that it's so AI, it's like, all right, I watched it, got me to watch it because I was just wanted to
Yeah.
see what would happen next. The one thing I will say, I do really enjoy the Bigfoot vlog AI
Oh
videos. If you've
yeah.
seen those are very
I
funny. I
have.
can appreciate those. I can definitely appreciate those from a person that's worried about AI but has to deal with it every day. I
Yeah.
can definitely appreciate something like that. That's pretty funny. But and this is kind of tying into that. It wasn't going to be about AI, but I think it has to be about now. In the next 3, 5, 7 years, where do you see and again, we just kinda talked about when am I getting it replaced, but where do you see the role of a brand marketer or someone in your position, how will it evolve over those next 3 to 5 years, especially on platforms like TikTok, with the evolution of AI coming and just with the always the rise in new trends and stuff like that, where do you see how do you see your role maybe evolving or adapting even to those times?
Yeah, it's a great question, and to be honest, I don't think anyone truly knows because AI is evolving so quickly that when ChatGPT first came out and where we are today with it is it's night and day. But I think the savviest brand managers and those that are thinking about their brands and the leaders that adopt AI will be the ones who lead the way. And so those that are shying away from it and trying to think that it cannot replace us, I think they're the ones who are going to fall behind, and the savviest brand managers are the ones who know how to use AI and how to do it effectively. So, are they going to allow AI to build out everything about their brand? No, I don't think so. I don't think consumers want an AI brand that they're buying from. I think they want the humanity. And I think Duolingo is a great example where, such a phenomenal brand, especially on TikTok, when their CEO comes out and talks about how AI is going to be integrated, the drop in users is really just a stark representation of people don't
Right.
want to purchase exclusively from AI brands. But that being said, like we talked about small use cases for AI, I think those will continue. When we're thinking about branded search terms for Amazon, maybe that gets translated to a tagline that you're using for a caption. Maybe that's going to be mobile enough that you want to quickly use that.
Yep.
Or brand managers are finding trends because AI is able to spot them faster than people can send them. So I think it's about using the tools to make your job faster and more efficient. I don't think it's about replacing the authenticity of a brand, and doing things that feel real and feel human. I think when you think of all the brands that are in the comment sections of posts, they're the ones that feel real. And I think
Yeah.
if an AI takes over, I don't think that same authenticity will come through.
They're gonna have some weird
And I think brands
comments.
will suffer.
They're gonna have
There will
some
be
weird
some weird
comments.
comments. They're going to take things way too literally.
Right. Speaking of weird,
So, yeah.
because I love Duolingo, big fan. I'm actually on an 830 something day streak for
Wow.
Italian, Spanish, not Spanish. My fiance's doing Spanish. Italian chess. I just started chess because it's actually pretty fun. And I do a little Japanese in there too for fun because we want to
Wow.
go to Japan someday. So I want to
You're
be able to
prepped.
say things. But Italian's the biggest one. Italians, that's the majority of my learning. But uh,
Love
the
that.
Duolingo Twitter is so incredibly weird. I wouldn't be surprised if it was run by an AI, but,
You
um,
got to check out the Duolingo TikTok if you haven't.
I'm sure it's either weirder or just as weird. I might get
Oh,
back on
it's the
just for
best.
Duolingo's TikTok
I
account,
think
to be
so.
honest with you. So,
I think it's worth it.
yeah, but no, it's a great question. It's a great, I don't mean to flush my own toilet there, but it's something that I constantly think about, as far as what do I have to do to not be replaced by an AI? Kidding, I'm kidding, Jake. No, but what needs to where is the shift gonna be in the e-commerce world, in the TikTok world, in the Amazon world, in anywhere across the world? Where is the shift gonna be that people either adapt or they get swallowed up by the wave? So it's something
Yeah.
to definitely consider, especially in our industry of the online e-commerce space of, and like you said, the authenticity comes in. That's a big thing that we talked about right in the beginning of TikTok is meant to be authentic. It's meant to build communities. I don't know that these AI will be able to do that as well as these organic brands commenting on posts, like you said. So that's a pretty good sum up of everything kind of that we've been going over is authenticity. Authenticity is key. It sounds like it's one of the big things, one of the big factors of success for TikTok is can you authentically sell your product and push your product and show it to somebody on TikTok enough for them to be confident in you to buy it. So,
Yeah,
mm,
absolutely.
but the last question I have, it's a question we ask all the guests. I think it's very exciting because it's very, although it hasn't been open ended, but it's very, you can take it anywhere you want to go. What is one piece of advice that you would give? I got a two-parter for you. One piece of advice you would give to someone starting out as a brand manager on TikTok and a brand starting out on TikTok. What are two pieces of advice, or what is one piece of advice each, I guess, that you would give to each of those different people? Now that you've again been in the space, you're the cream of the crop kind of TikTok, and you're top of the brand managers kind of thing. What is something that you would tell to these people? Something maybe not to do, something they should do right away.
Yeah. I'll go two pieces. I'll give you two. The first is just start. Start somewhere. Get your voice out there. Share your what you stand for, what your brand stands for, what makes your brand special. Don't overthink it. I think, I'm a my second piece of advice might contradict that, but just get yourself out there, test, keep testing, keep posting. The perseverance is important on TikTok. We see millions of videos being created every single day. And so it is going to be a bit of a challenge to break out of that noise, but you have to start somewhere. You don't need the most polished approach. You want to make sure that you're thinking about what your brand stands for, what community you're trying to build, what value are you providing to consumers
Right.
in the most authentic way. So I think starting and just that perseverance is one that often gets overlooked as you're thinking about how complicated it could be, how much paid media budget do I need to allocate, or you don't need to start there. You can start simple and work your way up. And then the second piece I'll say is a little bit contradictory, but it's to use analytics and tools that are available to you. And I think I often hear this, and I volunteer for several smaller sellers, and typically in growing economies that are trying to expand, and they just they often come to me asking about the stress that they have trying to expand into some of these platforms that feel unattainable, even in Amazon, which feels so complicated and almost robotic in their processes. And it's to use a lot of the open tools that exist.
Hmm.
So for TikTok, for example, we have a creative center. And in our creative center, we will show you what hashtags are trending, what keywords are trending, what creators are trending, what audio is trending and free for commercial use. So if you are a brand that is trying to put out TikTok and you're thinking, I don't have the license to Sabrina Carpenter, I can't run that. But there is a ton of free audio that you can use that's trending, that's platform
Right.
relevant, and it's completely open for you to use. So use some of the tools that are available. And that goes across everything, whether you're using Helium 10 for your product development on Amazon. It really is more accessible than ever before. And so to not shy away from the analytics behind what you're trying to do and actually embrace it. Use AI to help you understand it if you need, but make sure that you're intentional with the strategy in terms of using tools to stay on top of trends, not to shy away from the overwhelming number of resources available.
Love it.
So yeah, those are my two
That's
pieces.
gonna be the quote. I got it for the thumbnail. I got the headline. I
I
feel
love
like
it.
Jay, what's his name? Jay Jonah Jameson, where he does the headline thing. Also, I love
I
Sabrina
love it.
Carpenter. Big fan. Manchild is very, very good. Excited for the new album.
I know.
Big fan.
She's coming to Toronto at the end of the year, so I got to find a way to get there.
Are you a Blue Jays fan, Neil? I feel like we didn't talk about this.
I am a Jays fan. I
I'm
used
so
to live
sorry.
I will say though, it's been tough. It's been tough being a Toronto sports fan. Oh no, I don't want to see it. I know I saw it. I don't want to look at that.
It was a sweep. That was a good sweep we had against the Blue Jays. But anyway,
I lived across the street from the Rogers Center, and
no way.
not only would the team disappoint me, the traffic was even worse. So you know
Can
what? They
imagine.
have done me wrong enough times.
I'm a big baseball fan. Unfortunately, our CEO Jake is a Mets fan, so we're playing them as of
Oof.
this day of recording. We're playing them this weekend, so big series here because now we're tied for first
Yep.
place in the East. But maybe we should just redo the whole podcast and talk about Serena Carpenter and baseball. I think that would be a great episode.
I think we get more
We might have
listeners.
to. It's more generic
Yeah.
in a good way, but Neil, and to wrap up our TikTok one, and we'll go right into the Sabrina Carpenter one. To wrap up our TikTok discussion, I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about this. And again, one of my goals on this podcast is to always learn something from the guests, and I definitely learned a lot today. So I appreciate you informing me more about TikTok again as we at Velocity Sellers get more and more involved with it. And start to manage more and more brands. It's important for me, even though I'm not managing the brands directly, to stay on top of that and provide good information to them. So I appreciate you helping me do that. And I appreciate you coming on to talk with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. I feel like you guys are on such a great trajectory and provide so much value to brands. So I really hope this was helpful for the listeners. For anyone looking to connect, I'm available on LinkedIn at Neil Tanna. I also provide free volunteering for any local seller who just wants some help or consultation and resources. I have a website, insanity.com. That's with a double A in insanity. It needs humanity and really just what I want to do to try and give back to people who want some help breaking through all the mess that is e-commerce today. So
Love it.
yeah, if anyone wants to connect, I'm happy to do so.
I will have Neil's website and his LinkedIn in the description down below. Make sure to check that out. And yeah, Neil, thank you so much. Appreciate having you on.
Thank you so much. Talk soon.
Thanks everybody for watching. I'm Velocity Pete, and we will see you next week.